You've probably used arrays and objects in JavaScript 1,000 times by now. But have you ever stopped to wonder, what if you needed a key that wasn't a string, or wanted a collection of only unique values, that too without writing complex logic? In today's video, we are diving into two most underrated data structures in JavaScript, map and set. You will see how they solve real world problems cleanly and efficiently. And trust me, once you start using them, there is no going back. So let us start with maps first. So a map is basically a collection of key value pairs where the keys can be of any type. Okay. Which distinguishes it from a normal JavaScript object. People often say, right, we have an object in JavaScript that shows key value pairs. So why do we need a map? Okay, there are many differences. One of them is in a normal JavaScript object, the keys can only be either strings or symbols. Okay, but in map we don't have such a problem. The keys can be of any type. Okay, so let us see how to create a map in JavaScript. Okay, just a side note. This is a data structure and not the higher order function that we have in map, filter, and reduce. The name may be the same, but they are completely different. Okay, so let's see how to create a map in JavaScript. Okay, so you can use a const keyword. Okay, and then give it any name. Okay, and the way we create a new map is by using the new keyword, new, and the map constructor. Okay, this has created our map in JavaScript. Okay, now what we can do is we can add values to these, right? We can add values. Okay, okay, now adding values, okay, not just values, adding key values. Okay, keys and values. Okay, now the way we do that is using the set method, okay, that is provided to us in this data structure. Okay, so the way we do that is you take the name of the map, which is Breaking Bad dot set. Now as you can see, it takes two values, right? Key and value. Okay, so and as you can see, right, here is the difference. A key can be of any type, doesn't matter. Okay, we'll see that shortly. Okay, so first will be the key. Let me use a string key. Okay, Heisenberg. Okay, and its value we can keep as Walter White. Okay, now let me add some more values. Okay, so Jesse, another string, and over here we can keep Pinkman. Let me, okay, now earlier I mentioned they can be any, the keys, right? The first parameter is, the first argument that we pass in is key, and the second one is the value, right? So let me do one thing. Let me add a number. Okay, and let the value be string. Okay, note over here I'm passing strings and values, but even the string values can be anything, like we have in sorry, the value of the data type of the values can be anything. Okay, they don't have to just be strings. That is even the same in normal objects, but the main difference between map and normal objects that we use in JavaScript is both are key values. Both are a way to store key value pairs, but the difference is the keys have to be strings or symbols. Okay, so here I've set number. Okay, so this wouldn't be possible in a normal object. Okay, now let me set it to true. Okay, so look over here, I'm even setting a boolean value. Okay, and over here let me just give a non-string value. Let me give a number over here, 24. Okay, okay, so this is the way we can set values or add key values in a particular map. Let me quickly log that and show that. Okay, so there are better ways to iterate over a map. For now I'm just console logging it. I'll show a better way ahead in the future. Okay, so over here, as we can see, okay, from the get-go we can see it calls it map. Okay, and we can see the way this is represented in comparison to a normal object is also different. Okay, but as we can see, we have the keys and the value. Okay, so even boolean values are possible, even string values are possible. Any kind of data type is possible in as for a key in a map. Okay, now we saw how to add these keys and values, but what if we want to get certain values, right? So how would we get those values, right? So that is precisely the answer. How we would get the values is by using the get keyword. Okay, the get method, sorry. Okay, so what we would do is we would do Breaking Bad dot get. Okay, and over here we pass the key. As you can see in the documentation as well, it clearly tells us we have to add the key name. Okay, now over here let me add just Jesse. Okay, so we should get pinkman in a console log. Okay, yeah, that is what we got. And let me just use the other values as well. Let me use true. We should get Mike. We should get 24 over here. Okay, because the key for 24 is true, which is a boolean, right? So yeah. So as I mentioned, the keys in a map can be of any type. Okay, they're not restricted to just strings or symbols like they are in a normal object. Okay, then you can even store this, you can assign this value to a particular variable and then log it. Even that is possible. I have directly logged it over here. Okay, now another thing that you can do with a map, right, is you can check its size. Okay, how big the map is, and that you do it with this size keyword. Okay, so let me just show that to you quickly. Console.log map, sorry, breaking pad dot size. Okay, now one thing to keep in mind is this is not a method. Okay, so don't write something like that, you won't get a result. Okay, yeah, it is not a function. Okay, it is, as we saw in the documentation as well, it is clearly, it mentioned, right, just a second, it clearly mentioned it is a property, right, not a function. Okay, so this should give us 4, right? Yeah, because we have 4 elements in our map, right? We set 4 values, right? If you remove one of these, right, let's do one thing. I'll show a better way to remove it, or let me. Now it should change to 3. Okay, let us add Jesse back. He's important. Okay, used is the delete method. This is used to, you guessed it, delete certain key value pairs. Okay, so the way we do that is again the same, delete. Okay, and over here we pass the key that we want to delete. So let's say I want to delete Jesse. Okay, so this has 4 values. After deleting, we should have 3. Let me log that as well. Okay, so as you can see, Jesse is gone from the map. Okay, now again, uh, this is if you're planning to delete a non-string value like a number or something, don't add quotes, just add it as it is. Okay, so this should delete Gus, right? Okay, so yeah, that's how we do it. And yeah, another method, and a very commonly used method, is to check if a particular key exists or not, and that we use using the has keyword. Okay, what this does is it checks if a key value pair exists. Okay, it is pretty common. You can use this in if conditions, right? While iterating, you can just add this in your if condition, because this will return a boolean. Okay, so I'll show that to you as well. So has, okay, and let us search for, what will we search? Heisenberg. Let's go for Heisenberg. Okay, so let me remove all of this for now. It's not required, right? Okay. So we'll even have to log this because we need to see, right? Console.log. Okay, so since Heisenberg is present, it will return true. Right now, let's search for something that isn't there over here. Let's search for Mike. Okay, now as you can see, Mike is not present as a key over here. Okay, so this will return false, right? Similarly, another thing that you need to keep in mind is this searches for keys and not values. Okay, so if you add a value over here, even though it might be there, right, it will still not work. Okay, it will still return false. Okay, now another question is, what if we add the same key one more time? Okay, right, so let's say true was already a key. Okay, now let's say I change this from 24 to, I don't know, let's change this to Mike. What will happen in this case? In this case, the key that comes afterwards will overwrite the previous one. Okay, let's go through that as well. Okay, so these 3 will be the same, but instead of true 24, we'll get true Mike, because this key was overwritten by this one. Okay, so the key on line 7 was over, the key value pair on line 7 was overwritten by the key value pair on line 8 because they both had the same key. Okay, so let me expand that. Yeah, as we can see, instead of true and 24, we are getting true and Mike. Okay, so earlier in the video, I mentioned that we also need to know how to iterate over a map data structure, right? So the way we do that is, there are 2 methods, first of all. Okay, so let's just go at them one by one. First, let's talk about the for of loop. Okay, so how we would do it for, let's say we had an array, right? So how we would iterate over a normal array, we would be let okay, our variable name, okay, let's call it I of, and then arr, okay, and then we would console log I over here, okay. This would be your normal for of loop, okay. But how would we do it for a map? Okay, so let's build on top of this. Okay, so first of all, instead of our arr, we would have our actual map name, correct? That's pretty common, right? But if you see, right, every map, what is a map, right? It is a store of key value pairs. Okay, it will have a key and a value, right? So at every element inside a map, we have two values. Okay, so the way we to handle that over here is using this syntax. Okay, add a square bracket, key, and comma value. You can use anything over here. I have used key and value. You can even use k and v or whatever. Just remember the first thing is the key and the second thing is the value. Okay, and yeah, we'll just simply log that, right? Just log key separated by a colon and then value. Okay, so we should get all our elements. Let's take a look. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so this is a common way of doing that. Okay, another way of doing that is using for each. Okay, so again, we do breaking bad dot for each, and this will, of course, right, take a callback function, right? Now, remember over here, this is pretty important. Yeah, it's come over there. Okay, so the uh, first parameter is value and not key. In your normal for loop, I mean in your for of loop, the first one was key. Okay, and the second one was value. But over here, it is the opposite. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, the order is the opposite over here. Okay, and we'll pretty much do the same thing. Let me just copy this. I'm using arrow functions over here. You can even use your normal functions. Let me just comment that as well, so we know this works. Okay, yeah, let me just add another value over here just to verify 10. Okay, okay, and yeah, okay. So yeah, again, another important edge case that I wanted to show by adding this is you can have values of the same name. Okay, you can have values of the same name. It is completely fine. Only in the case of unique keys, the keys have to be unique, and in case you have duplicate keys, the second one will override the previous one. Okay, so yeah, this was all about maps. Now let's move on to sets. Set is a collection of unique values. No duplicates are allowed. Okay, it is great for filtering out repeated elements. And yeah, let's see how we create one. Okay, so again, I'm going to use a const keyword using the same name that I had used previously. And just like for map, we would do something like new map. For set, we'll do new, you guessed it, new set. Okay, and a set is created. Okay, now we have created a set. How do we add elements to the set? Okay, so add elements to the set. Okay, in map, ironically, we would use the set method to add values to the map. So in set, right, we have a different method which is called as add. Okay, we use the add method to add values in a set. In map, to add values, we use set. Yeah, I know. Even I don't know what they're thinking. Okay, so let me add a few values. Walter, um, Jesse, Gus. Okay, and let me quickly console log this set. Okay, Breaking Bad. So yeah, we have a set. Okay, now I mentioned that it does not take duplicate values. So let me just try adding a duplicate value. Let me add Jesse twice. Okay, let's see what happens. As you can see, I have saved it, and let me just refresh it for sure. I mean, just for confirmation, so that you all be sure, so that you all might think I'm just showing the previous output. But as you can see, I tried adding Jesse one more time, but since Jesse was already there, Jesse wasn't added again. Okay. Now this is the main use case of set. Okay. If you want to have a collection of unique elements, that's when we use set. Okay. So to add elements to a set, we use the add method. Okay, now just write that. Now over here, let's see how we can remove, okay, certain elements. Okay, The way we remove certain elements is by using, just like in map, okay, we use the delete, right? Over here also we'll use just same, okay, breaking bad dot delete, sorry. And over here we'll specify the value, okay. So let's say I want to delete Gus, okay, okay. And now if we log this, we should have just two elements, right? Walter and Jesse. Okay. So we've seen how to add, we've seen how to delete, okay. How do we see if an element exists or not? Okay, the way we do that, how we did it in map, using the has method. In the same way, okay, we do it in set as well, okay. What does has do? Checks if element exists, okay. So this again will return a boolean, okay. And the way we do that is just like in map, right? Has, and here we pass a particular value, okay. So let me pass Gus again, so this should give me true, okay. And again, if we pass a value that does not exist, right? Okay, Mike does not exist in the set, right? So it will give false. Okay. Similarly, now if I want to check the size of the set, okay, I will do that using the size property. Remember, this is a property, okay, not a method. Okay, remember. Okay, so we do console.log breaking bad size. Okay, do not add this. Do not add the parenthesis. Okay, after set. Okay, so yeah, we can see 3. Okay. Now, another thing that we need to see is how do we iterate over a set. Okay, let me just delete this. So again, we covered two ways. Okay, one was using the for off loop, and the second one was using the for each. Right now, it is pretty much the same over here as well, right? So you do let whatever your iterate, whatever iterator name you want over here off, and then over here your set name. This is pretty much straightforward, like how we would iterate in a normal array. In map, it was a bit complicated because we had key value pairs, but over here it is simple because every element is just one value. In map, every element was a pair, right? Key value pair, right? So there it was a bit different. Okay, and we just see, right? This should give us all the elements: Walter, Jesse, Gus. So this was one way, right? The other way is using the for each method. Yeah. So again, we will do that using add dot for each. Again, this will take a callback function, but here we just have one value, right? Okay. Console dot log value. Okay. I have given value over here. You can give anything. Let me just comment this and let me add another value to the set. Let's add Mike back. Okay, so we should get 4 values inside a set. Okay. And that's what we have got over here. It was about map and set data structure in JavaScript. Uh, Let me know in the comments if there is anything that you all didn't understand. Also, let me know if there is any new question or new kind of topic that you all want me to cover. If you all found this helpful, please drop a like and a comment. And yeah, see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.